What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today, we're going to be looking at
All cards exposed. So we're going to see how players are playing check raises on the flop and how they're defending check raises. So we're going to go through hands from population. This is 50 NL ignition. And we'll just go through. And Larry, if you want to take the first one here, and we'll just take turns. If you have a mic, you can turn it on and participate. If not, no worries. So Larry, go ahead. Take the first
Yeah, I
one.
think this should fold around to button. Button should RFI. And then I think villain 10 has a defend. I don't think he's doing many I don't think he's doing many check raises here with this hand. I could be wrong. But I think this is just simply defend button
Yeah.
versus
So
big
yep,
blinds.
you're right. In theory, it should fold around to the button. Let's see what happens. So we get a min raise from under the gun with ace 10, which is out of range on the charts.
So this is like, so to anybody new, this is kind of where it gets interesting, right? Because we're seeing hands that should be there. I mean, well, in theory, according to the ranges that we've learned from poker coaching or GTO Wizard or whatever, this is some pretty wide play. So all of a sudden, I mean, so the problem with this hand on button against an early position opening is that exactly what you see here. And again, if you're new, you can already see. If you can you go around, we'll see what the equities are. So fold, I mean, villain should in big blind should fold. So let's go back before flop. Just look at equities. Yeah, I mean, so you just still, I'm sorry. After everyone folds before flop, so it's heads up. So you can see that the problem with playing ace 9 and button is that you're going to be dominated by whatever hand, ace X hand that opens. So you need to, this hand should be nowhere near a flat. If you're gonna decide to play this hand, it should be a 3-bet. It shouldn't be a flat. All right, so we're going to see a check raise. So in theory, villain 1734 against button should have a lot of checks. I would check here. This hand is got very, I don't know what exact. So this hand, let's see what villain 1731. I would check this hand. It does have some qualities because it's got backdoor stuff going on around the ace of spades. But this is a marginal hand. This is a questionable play, I think. So we're gonna see a check raise here, which is quite dramatic. And so he's using a bigger size. What is this, like a 3x? A little more, yeah, it's about 3x. And he's, you know, when I see this, I think probably villain 1734 is probably a good player. He should have the range advantage. If we put this in solver, he would have the definite range advantage. Because he's opening from early position. So ace 9 now I think should continue. It does have backdoor equity and it does have a marginal hand.
But you can also see that you're really getting into trouble, right? Calling ace 9 off on the button here is just a losing play.
Yeah, it is. So now it gets interesting. So I would imagine. Now this is, you know, of course, the classic example of bad play gets rewarded. This is poker. So 1734. So 1734 is an interesting point now. Can we go? So I don't think that 1734 should bet him. He just made an aggressive check raise against I might be influenced by the hand, but I don't think so. I think here I would check. You took a very aggressive action. You were called. Now you have showdown against a highly filtered range. I feel like this is a check out of position with 1734. Does anybody else have any opinions about this?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I hope I'm not being just influenced by the cards. I really honestly think that if you're going to check raise aggressively, and you get called, and then you luck box a bit into showdown on turn, you check. So I don't like this play, and so he's not, this is now, he's in a very awkward spot. This is a good filter. Mike, thank you very much for putting the effort in to get this going. We're already seeing very interesting hands. This is where it's very interesting to look at the odds that are being offered versus your equity. I think if I was villain 1734, what am I doing here? Well, I'm very nervous. I'm very uncomfortable. But I don't think I can fold yet, so I call. Yeah, okay, so this is a suicide check raise. This is a horrible play because the result is that you're only getting called by better and you're only folding out worse. This is a classic error. So this is a classic error in that he is overvaluing his top pair against what is a very filtered range after he check raises.
Yeah, especially from that early position like that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an error. I mean, so I made it, of course, but I think we all made these errors, but yeah, I think this is an error.
Yeah.
But an interesting hand nonetheless.
Scotty, you still with us?
I am with you for a few more seconds. I'll jam through this one. Here we go. All right. This should go. Jack eight's too soon. Ace 10 suited should raise. It should fold around and he should take it. That's not what's going to happen. So I'm going to assume that the Jack 8 is going to be in there. So he limps. Ace 10 suited should squeeze, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him call. He goes for the squeeze. There we go. Everyone else should fold, and the Jack 8 he should fold. But if you're going to limp Jack 8 there, I guess you're limping it not to fold it. So here we go. All right. We're going to see a check raise on this. Amazing. Okay. If Ace 10 bets, he should absolutely bet small. He does. When Jack 8 raises, Ace 10 should call. Keep his bluffs in. He's in position. He can always raise later when he wants to. He doesn't need to go bigger. Good call. Does Jack 8 give up yet? He checks. Ace 10 should be betting against to try to get value from a king. And so, and he should also be looking, is there any chance of getting this 2E and getting it all in? No, we'd have to go so big to get it all in. So he bets and there's the fold. All right.
Yeah.
I like Ace 10's play.
Yeah. Antithesis, did you want to jump in and take a turn?
You don't have to be on a microphone, man. You can just do it in chat if you want.
We'll come back to you, Antithesis, if you wanted to participate. Richie, you with us? And Richie might be preoccupied. So we'll go back to the top of the list. Just jump in chat if you guys want to jump in. I'll take this one here. It should fold around to Ace Jack. They should open. Queen 10 off in the small blind. Just mostly folding there. I think it might even be a pure fold in the small blind. If it does have any 3-bets, it's probably a small amount. And then 8-5 in the big blind should defend to a standard open from the button. Let's see what happens.
We might see an XR from Hero.
We might. So they go 3x. And we get a flat. This 8-5 in the big blind now is probably getting pretty close to like a break-even sort of call. Since it is Hero, they may look at villains and determine if they want to play. I don't know if this would be a pure call or not. We can check with the pre-flop police. Let's check pre-flop police.
So as you're checking, I'm going to make a prediction as you do it, which is when the small blind calls, if the button calls behind the big blind's calling range gets smaller, when the small blind calls, it gets bigger. And it gets bigger down in that lobe down there. So normally it would be 7-5, then 8-5. So I think this 8-5 definitely has to call against the button. That's what I think.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the cuspy right on the edge.
Yeah.
Kind of indifferent. And that's to a 2.5x. That's the 2.5.
Yeah.
We
Right,
can't.
but I was saying, yeah, while you're looking it up, I think with the 3, I think the 8-5 probably folds pre without the small blind, but with the small blind, I think it starts to come in. That's gonna be my guess.
I'm gonna get even geekier here, even nerdier, and say that this has less value in this situation. Not
Let's see.
necessarily as much because of the 3, but because there's a broken stack in button.
Ooh, I didn't even see that.
I know, full geek,
Right.
full geeky right there.
Yeah. So the 8-5 doesn't, take the small blind out and see, just to see what the 8-5 does against 3. Yeah. Okay, so it's out, and then even the 8-6 gets smaller with the call. So I was completely wrong in every way. All right, I'm gonna see you guys later and just wallow
All
in my
right, yeah.
mistakes.
So we see how tight you have to be versus a 3x compared to a 2.5x or a 2x. Now that's of course assuming the ranges of these players are good, are good ranges, which we often see small blind flats are going to be weaker players. So you can probably get more EV out of hands that would be on the cusp. But and you have a good point about the button being short. So the implied value of hitting hands here goes down versus those short stacks. But hero does call, and we get this flop. Boy, I don't think hero's going to be check raising this flop.
No, what's villain 1727 is he gonna suicide semi-bluff here?
So here comes the check raise from the queen 10 off, which by the way, just to check queen 10 off, small blind range here. Yeah, just way out of range, even versus 2.5x. Queen 10 off, small blind. Yeah, just tiny sliver there if you're going to do it. So it's not.
And it really should be a flat. And we really shouldn't be flatting here.
No. Yeah, should
Not
be
at the rake that we're paying on these online sites at this stake.
so here's gonna get out of the way. So yeah, we see the check raise. You know, it's a small check raise. It doesn't seem appropriate in this spot by any means. And now we're just gonna play out the hand. They check after the check raise. Ace Jack checks behind. And then they go for value with their second pair, B75. Ace Jack here. I mean,
So villain 1727 is not thinking about what ranges can call. I mean, so the only calls that he is ahead of now, no aces ever folding. The only calls that he's ahead of now are clubs.
clubs and possibly gut shots like King Jack, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true.
King Jack, Jack 10. I mean, if they get there, he goes for the small check. He goes for the small raise on the
Never a bluff. Let's see if
click,
on
like a click
1727.
back. So some good sampling of population play here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's DGen on ignition. It's the only one I'm coming to.
Larry, you're up.
All right, here's out of this hand. Should fold around to hijack. Hijack does get some raises here with this combo. And then cutoff is in theory 2-better fold. So yeah, so around to villain 1730 in hijack, he should raise. Ace Jack should 3-bet. Okay, so now all those ranges that we know, let's forget those. Okay, so ace 10 is in an interesting spot here. So let me see. Cutoff hijack. So I'm always uncomfortable here with this kind of hand class, this early isoing. And against this broken stack, it gets more interesting. Generally, I think I do take this spot and I'd go to 5 big blinds. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I don't think you can fold this. So I think over limping with this hand class is not an option. I think I'm gonna go to 5.
Yeah.
I think ace jack now is an interesting spot. I think ace jack is in a very difficult spot and I don't know what to do here with ace jack.
I would fold ace jack here, and my reason is this. So I think the ace ten correctly ISO'd here. Ace ten, if you do Joey's theory of going back 2 steps, sorry, if you go to Joey's theory and go back 2 steps, then the ace ten mostly folds. Has a little bit of raising in the low jack -1.
Deck, we are
Right.
a little bit delayed pushing off the gate here.
It's like
Due to
given
traffic
the
in the
given the
alleyway.
broken stack nature of the
Once that traffic
the
clears
initial
up,
Looper,
we can push,
I think that pushes the ace ten.
Active taxi was.
His offsuit hands go up, his big offsuit hands go up, and his suited hands go down. So that pushes this one into the raise. But the ace jack in the cutoff is a mix 3-bet against the ace ten's position. But the ace ten now doesn't contain the bottom of his range because he has the top of his standard range here, and that
Yeah.
should make the ace jack fold. That's my.
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
my
I
thought.
think that at this point, I think you got a very good point, Scotty. And I think that you have a very kind of, logical view here in that ace 10, let's just do range versus range. Ace 10 is now at the top of range. And so we just fold there. Maybe ace jack, the suited combos, maybe you can get fancy, but I think maybe you make a very tight fold here.
I think all the suited combos can 3-bet there because they 3-bet the cutoff pure. So they need some of his bluffs in there, but not a ton of them. But the ace jack offsuit mixes, so it definitely needs the bluffs, and the bluffs are gone.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
the bottom, or
exactly.
he's in top half of his range. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got a good point. So, okay, so let's see what villain 1731 does. E flats. Not recommended. We're gonna. I would say this is horrible. Ace jack, jack 8 is horrible here. So 7-9 is even more horrible. I mean, 9-7. So 9-7, I would 9-8 suited. I might, but I think 9-7 is a little too far away. So he's got 4 callers and he's got the ace of clubs. So villain 1735 should check. He might dunk here. I think donks are very common. No, he checks. So I would check if I was villain 1731 at multi-way in the middle of the sandwich here, looking to check raise, which I think might happen. He bets. I don't know where his check raise is going to come from. Must come from 7-9. Ace jack needs to fold. Jack 8 needs to fold. And we're going to see a check raise here. And that's a shove, isn't it? Yeah, he just wants
Yep.
to run it. So obviously we're calling off. He did not make it. Can you run it twice at ignition? Can't run it twice,
No.
can you?
No. No, so look at these pre-flop. Look at this pre-flop action. That's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. So this is, for the guys who are new, we spent a lot of time looking at solvers too. And this is really kind of a reality check on what's going on at 15 minutes.
Antithesis or Richie, if you're in there, if you're in, let us know. Otherwise, we'll go Scott or Scotty, you're up.
Oh
If you're
boy,
with-
yes, my flight hasn't pushed back yet. All right, here we go. Fold, 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 fold. Ace 4 and the cutoff should fold. This should fold around the big blind, therefore it won't happen. So the ace 4 is gonna, oh my gosh, the ace 4 fold. King 3, okay, so that's just weird. So he raises, and I guess he raises to 2, not because it's his regular size, but because of the strength of his hand. If you're in the big blind with Queen 8 suited here, you should be observing him and see, and we don't know the answer to this. If he's like that guy we had last week, where his raise size coordinates with the strength of his hand, then 3-betting the Queen 8 suited is appropriate because you know that he's at the bottom of his range. If you don't know that, if 2 big blinds is just as open, you just call with Queen 8 suited and go and see a flop. Okay, and you flop the world.
This is,
So,
now this is a
this is good.
classic.
Right.
Yeah, check
So
this.
check range. I like that. King bets, and if he was trying to create, if he was trying to do a balanced range here, he might check back his worst kings and bet his best kings, but this is fine. He bets a king. And now queen eight suited is so good, he can check raise or he can call. You know, he has all the equity in the world. And if this gets all in now, he just gets all in. That's okay. He has enough equity. So there we go. There's the 18. He can call or he can jam
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting spot.
based on his mood. He calls. I got no problem with that. Here we go. And against the 25 with 37 left,
It's very-
he's
The
still got the
equity
same
versus
10.
pot odds is interesting. here.
Yes, yeah. There is still enough money behind to do it, so he should call. But he decides to jam there. I'm not sure why, but he does, and now he's got to get there, and he doesn't. I would have preferred if he wanted to run it for all the money, I would have preferred he do it on the flop.
Yeah,
Other than that,
interesting hands.
Richie,
This one looks like it has potential too.
yeah,
and
Richie-
the other thing
Oh,
is if you're, just real quickly, if you're playing that live and the casino offers running it twice, that's a thing, and you get it all in on the flop. So you do that, that would be a really good time to offer to the other guy saying, do you want to run it once or twice?
Yeah,
Because
that's what
the queen eight suited would like to run this twice when this goes all in.
I was in a similar spot on Saturday night. 55%. Ran it twice.
Yeah.
You know the rest of the story.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
run mine twice and I lost it. Okay,
So is it me or Richie? Is it
Yeah,
around?
Richie or
No.
Antithesis.
Yeah, skip me. I'm just
No
Well, I wanna
worries.
say
man.
one-
No
I want
worries.
to say one other thing really quick about running it twice.
Yeah,
For your long-term win rate, it doesn't matter whether you run it twice. It's completely irrelevant because over the long term, you're going to run it 500 times just over a series of years. It's just what your mood is for that day. It's no worse to run it twice ever. It's no better to run it twice. When you have a flush draw and you get there one of the times, it makes it less likely you're going to get there the other time. That's true. But when you don't get there the first time, it makes it more likely you're going to get there the second time. So do whatever you feel like.
Bart Hanson has an interesting take on run it twice. Do you guys want to hear Bart Hanson's take real quick?
Yeah,
So, obviously I'm playing a lot more live poker, so a little bit more respect for Bart these days. And he's of the opinion if you're a good player, you should stop running it twice. Because you are, on average, going to know when you should be getting it in before river. And so he thinks that on average, over time, you're going to be getting it in as ahead. And because of that, you shouldn't run it twice, just run it once, because you're gonna be. So I don't think it matters much. I run it twice because I don't have a massive bankroll, so I like the reduction in.
I would have to do a little more analysis about when you run it twice, how card removal is involved. But on the more simplified side, Bart is wrong in the one sense that about running twice is if you have 60% equity and you run it twice, you still have the same EV coming out of it. And that's true whether you run it once this time and then once tomorrow and once tomorrow and once tomorrow, or twice today and twice tomorrow and twice tomorrow. You're going to be in this situation so much. So it's meaningless is my belief. I could be wrong because that card removal complication.
You're right. You're right about EV. You have the same EV across
Yeah.
each. You're right.
So, and so if you're, so are you chasing variance or are you trying to reduce variance? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter over the long term.
You have a good point. You have a good point. Is it my turn?
back to the top. I think you're after me, right, Larry?
Yeah, I think so.
Richie said, go ahead. Antithesis has not answered yet, so he's may just be watching. All right, so king should open, ace jack should fold, everything should fold around to queens. Queens versus Under the gun 9 here is actually going to get a lot of calls, in theory. It's going to have calls. I'm thinking it's majority call actually, but I'm not sure about that. We'll check it out. So let's see what happens here. They should either call or 3-bet, and it should get back around to the kings. We'll see what the action is. They do go for the 3-bet, and the kings should 4-bet. I don't think you ever really want to flat kings. I think it's
Especially
a
out of
very
position.
rare opportunity or very rare to see flats with kings. They go for the 4-bet, and now queens on the button versus a 4-bet versus an under the gun 4-bet. I would imagine the theory says this is just pure call, but let's see, and which is probably what they do here. So they do. Let's just check this because this is an interesting, very early 9 max, very early raise versus a button with queens. Yeah, mostly call there. Interesting that kings on the button has some flats.
It is interesting.
So that's very interesting.
Not
So
to mention ace king off.
I was expecting ace king off to have more flats there actually than it did.
Yeah, I thought, I just always think of ace king off as wanting to win pre-flop, but yeah, it makes sense. Against a very strong UTG range.
I do see the ace king off. I see flats way more often than ace king. Ace king suited is the one that almost always wants to go for it, and ace
Yeah.
king off gets flats depending on the situation.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is a common result. So back to kings. Kings pure 4-bet here, and now back to the button with queens. And now that they've taken this 3-bet line, it is a pure call now. So they do call. So that is that pre-flop action. So now we're going to see a check raise, obviously, which on this board, in this configuration, I think is probably solver approved. You're probably going to check a ton. I wonder how 4-bets though, if we're talking about 4-bets, because if there's a single raise pot, you check pretty much range. I'm
Four
curious.
bets.
Four
Four
bets.
bets, four bets mostly continue.
Yeah.
And they continue small
Yeah, this
Is
would be
the
like
mo-
a
is-
B20.
is the mostly, yeah.
So he checks. He's going to get a B25 here from the button, and he goes for just a small raise back. Queen's jam. Everything seems to be pretty kosher from both villains. So yeah, kind of interesting. Let's see how this works out with a 4-bet. This is a relatively rare situation. They called with their queens. We get just a innocuous 9 high flop, 9-5 deuce. So let's see how much checking we do. So we got some checking, 36% checking, but mostly betting. Mostly
Yeah.
betting small, and it's B25 is the size it likes. So they check. Queens, how much checking should they be doing? They do a little checking behind as well.
Queens is an awkward spot here. Can you look at equity for queens in this 4-bet pot right here real quick? This is a really interesting spot considering the configuration. I see the six, is that in the 60s? Is that what I read?
Yep, 62.
Yeah, you are not totally comfortable with queens here in a 4-bet pot.
Nope. Yeah, I agree.
So
Uh,
can I throw something by your mic here? Not to interrupt.
Yeah.
I might be influenced by the hand, but I wonder if I would check queens here against humans. You've got some strategic tension because you don't really want ace or king to roll off. I think I would be more likely to bet. I think I would be more likely to bet jacks and tens. It is not what the solver's doing. The solver's doing the opposite. But I would feel like I want to check queens here.
I agree because I don't think population at NL50 checks their value as much as solver wants them to check their value.
Yeah.
So
I think
which
there's less
makes a
traps there.
bet, which makes a bet with queens, jacks, and tens, I think much better.
Yeah, you have a good point. So, yeah, I don't think, yeah, so essentially, I mean, technically, I think, he's protecting his checking range here. In a 4-bet pot, I don't think any of us frankly know 4-bet theory out of position intimately. But yeah, I guess I like his play. I mean, I like out of positions play. But queens, I want to check back. Maybe I don't because, well, I think population's 4-bet out of position range doesn't possess ace-5 suited. I just don't think
Right.
I don't think there's any bluffs pre-flop
Yeah,
out of position here.
Yeah,
And
the
so my
typical,
queens are nervous. My queens are nervous because his range is so linear in reality versus theory.
yep. And in theory, the jam comes from queens with a diamond, and you get folds. There's indifferent to queens without a diamond here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my argument here is overfold. I would say overfold without a diamond,
Yep.
even to the stupid size. The size here is different, but I would say even to a stupid size, I would overfold.
Yeah, because the sizing was a little smaller than this is showing.
I
Right.
don't, frankly, in game, I don't know if I can get away from queens here, but I'm nervous AF.
Yeah. Um, Larry, you're up.
All right, I think we'll probably gonna see some kind of RFI from villain 1750 or 1751 EP, which is a mistake. It really should fold around the cutoff. So this is not egregious. Cutoff hijack wood. Yeah, it's pretty egregious. This is pretty shitty. I mean, he's a broken stack. You're just too early with this combo. It's too early. Okay, now it's just ridiculous. We're seeing how bad these players are. This is horrible. King Queen should our hero should 3-better fold. He should not flat here. 3-bet would be quite, yeah, I think your fold is good. Especially on ignition where you don't know anything about these players. This is horrible. I'm gonna go to ignition. This is egregiously horrible. These people are drunk. And notice bad play is rewarded and bad play is punished here. Okay, so check. All right, we might see a donk from, no, we don't see a donk. But we see where the check raise is coming from. So I like his small bet. So this is an interesting situation compared to the other multi-way hand I was looking at. Because now he's not out of position to 2 players, he's out of position to 1 player. This hand has really good value. I don't know. This can get weird. I might check this in villain 1751. I might check this. I might check this because it's a rainbow board. There's a little connectivity, obviously, potentially around the jack 9. I might check this in 1751. But he bets, he gets a good position raise, which is really bad multi-way. And then this is gonna go all in. I would not, I think we're gonna see a jam. So can we go back here? So he makes a good play here, right? I think his hand is good enough to slow play here. And he might be a little bit nervous about sets, even though he's blocking. Always blocking the himself. So villain 1744 should so one thing that God's Big Toe says here, which I have remembered, I've imprinted is, dude, read the room. On what action are you seeing here? Read the room. His hand,
Yeah.
you should understand that the value of his hand is now shit. He should fold. So he didn't, and Jack 9 is gonna win a lot of money. So I think for a lot of players, villain 1744, the top pair marginal kicker to new players. He's doing a classic error of overvaluing top pair in cash.
That, these hand values. Jack nine from early position. This is not even like 6 max tables. This is a 9 max table, and he's opening Jack nine suited from under the gun +1. Queen Jack off, flatting in early position. 10-3 in the small blind, 10-3 off, and then 5-9 defending because he thinks he's getting good odds. This is the kind of stuff we're seeing. Scotty, you still there?
Scotty's gone.
Okay.
So I would argue with that hand. You know, we spend a lot of time in solver doing trainer work, and sometimes I think frankly, we get a little bit too granular. Like with details about blockers. You know what? I don't think blockers matter. What matters is being at a table with fish. And
Yep.
The last table is where you make money. The last hand is where you make money. Not as much understanding, delineating where you continue and where you don't continue on a check raise, depending on what your blocker number is. I really make money in the last game by playing against fish. Anyway, is it my turn? I think we're alternating. Did I just go?
Yeah, I think you did that last one, right?
Yeah, I think so. If I didn't, I talked enough so that I did it anyway, so it's your turn.
So King nine gets to open here on the charts. It's got some frequency of opening, about 50%. Let's assume they do. It should fold around to aces, who should 3-bet, and then King nine should fold. If King nine folds, it should fold around a cutoff. They should open, and then aces should 3-bet, and King Jack should fold. So what happens is King Jack opens 3x. We get the 3-bet, which is a small 3-bet relative to A, the stack sizes, B, the open size of the bet. So we're seeing a smaller 3-bet here. Who knows, we don't have any history if we've seen him 3-bet yet. So we don't know if this is a smaller bet than is normal. If this
Mike,
is
can I ask you a
standard-
question?
Yeah.
Do you adjust your 3-bet size with aces?
No, I do not.
How about your 4-bet size?
That's getting into like stack sizing. I'll make 4-bet sizing adjustments with stack size, depending on stack size. Almost pure. Like I would not change it because of a villain though.
And you wouldn't change it if you had aces in a
Yeah, and
4-bet
it would be the
position.
same with whatever hand I'm doing it with. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Which it might be fine, especially in an anonymous pool where they're not really, they don't really know what's going on a lot of the times. I mean, it might be fine to, take aces and exploitatively size down just to maybe get more calls or something. But King Jack should fold, even to this size, which they won't.
So this is horrible, right?
Yeah, no, they should not be calling there, barring some sort of, really weird read or something. So it's going to go check raise here. Of course, they flop top set, makes it really easy. King Jack after getting checked here. We know they're going to bet. They go B50 with the King of Spades. Probably not the worst of actions, and probably not a bad exploitative float, or not float bet, but probe, I guess, stab. And then he gets check raise, and they should fold. There's got nothing going on with it.
I think his now, yeah, I don't think he needs to check raise here. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Well, need, yeah, it's certainly going to be a fine play. Does he need to? No, certainly not.
I
'cause
can
you
understand being nervous about spades,
spades, potential
but you're just gonna go broke
draws.
against spades all the time.
Yeah,
And
I
you
think
know
you-
what? It's the way I look at this is that I drank a lot of coffee. That's why I'm talking so much, Mike. I apologize.
Yeah.
The way I look at this is that if he hits a flush, you're going broke anyway because you're not folding top set. And when he makes this B50 bet, you got him. You got fucking the fish on the line, man. What are you check raising for? You're blocking his continues. There's only one ace left. You got him where you want him. Just call.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot of calls though. Like, I think the range that calls a 3-bet is gonna have is gonna be an ace X. Yes, there's much fewer of them. But you also have spades, backdoor clubs, and possible straight draws in here that can call. And you asked the question, would you or would you not? I think doing either, checking or betting is fine.
Yeah, generally if you put this in solver, you're gonna see both. I think. Do you want to put this in?
Yeah, this one's checkable.
Yeah.
Do this.
But I just think you got him where you want him. I mean, this is what you want. It's hard. Right now, you've got the absolute nuts. And I think a check raise here is more based on the fear than it is on a profitable play.
Now we're gonna get some goofy ranges because these are bigger 3-bets. We'll see. We'll just see what kind of. So they call. Obviously, King Jack off is never a call here.
Yeah.
Does have some 3-bet bluffing. And we get the ace of spades, 8 of spades, 7 of clubs.
No, I don't even know if he's gonna
Ace.
get any checks with aces, but listen. Pure.
Pure checking out of position. There's a lot of checking out of position. We know that, right?
This is a surprising amount of checking out of position in a 3-bet pot to me. He stabs. Yeah, you just pure check, dude.
Yeah, pure call there.
Sorry, pure call. Yeah, you just got him where you want him. This is, I don't think you need to make this play. I don't care about the flush draw. I don't care about the straight draw. You just got him where you want him. And let's not forget, you're 25% of the time you're gonna boat up,
Yeah, yeah.
or 23% of the time you're gonna boat up. Yeah, if this is an error, you just got him where you want him, and you've got. Look at your equity. Do you mind looking? Yeah, thanks, Steve. You've got 93%. You're at the very top of range. Like if we look at, you wanna look at breakdown real quick? Look at the very top there, it's just calling. So 2 points here. One, population is gonna fast play more than they should here. Not understanding that they are at the very, very top of range. And two, like if you look at ace king here, I bet the ones that we call are the ones with the spade. Yeah. We call with the spade, we fast play without. But with the aces, we don't care. Just fucking let them bluff into you.
Yep. Well played, Larry. Well played. This one's yours.
Alright, oh, gotta get to talking. So this should be a blind versus blind hand. It should fold around to the blinds. So you can 3-bet or, can you 3-bet here? I think you can 3-bet here. 3-bet or call are both fine, I think. Yeah, you can do either, but I think, yeah, you can this is good. Jack 9 is in a very interesting position here. I think Jack 9 is a little wide even in this configuration. What do you think? I think it's a little wide. I think you can call. You can call in theory. Now, this is a good question for you. You can call in theory, but are you gonna shave this off in reality?
Me, I'm folding Jack 9.
Yeah, so in theory, like if we look at this pre, I think you're supposed to call because of the configuration. However, I think population is too linear. And you need to, and you can consider folding then. You're out of position against what is a more linear range than it should be. Yes, we're on the edge here. And we prefer a four bet, which the hands you see on the edge here are gonna have, low EV calling, so then they're throwing it into the four bet rough range.
Mhm.
I would say that you can just fold out, you can shave out this. Shave out king jack, queen jack off, king 10 off. Shave out ace 10 off. Just humans 3-bet range is just too fucking linear here.
Yeah,
It's just too linear.
there's the
Well,
big blind jack 10.
I mean, if you look, like, if you, like, humans do not have 10-5 suited, 10-4 suited, and 10-3 suited here. We just don't have it. So you can just fold those. In the end, I think the key to playing poker at our stakes, online or live, is you over bluff and you over fold. And I think I think he should fold, but he doesn't. He wants to play poker, that's fine. So, this is gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens. So, small line should check. 10 jack does get continuation bets, I would imagine here. So this is a pretty hardcore check raise he's finding. None of these HUD stats are right, so we can't look at them, but. Yeah, so he makes a pretty, because we don't know, it's still because the filter probably screwed up the HUD stats, right?
No, the HUD stats would be accurate for this session with my participation. So I've
Okay.
been here for 123 hands. So
So-
this HUD is accurate for this player's been here for 14 hands.
So let's look at the check raise, the small blind HUD. So this guy presents as a off, he looks like a very good player.
Yep.
He's a tight aggressive. He's got a good 3-bet. So he's making a play here, so he knows what he's doing. He is making a play, an aggressive play with what is really quite. I mean, this is not going to be in solve, I don't think. This is quite a wide 3-bet. He's a
Yeah.
good player though.
And-
He's making an aggressive check.
And the sizing is not, I don't think the sizing would be would be chosen.
Yeah, it's very big. So
No, the sizing is very small.
the check raise size?
Yeah.
Let me see,
It's
so
a min
eight,
click.
3?
It's a min click, isn't it?
Wouldn't a min click be like 16?
Well, so 8, yeah, so it's just more than a min click.
Yeah, you're right. It is a small size. You're right. It is a small size. I agree. Yeah, you're right. It's a small size. So now villain's 1173 has this ace is it's much better for the imposition range. And so I think you did not improve. I think you just give up. And now you forget. You're right, it was a small check raise size.
I would imagine the check raise size wouldn't be much larger though.
You wanna
what's
look at
a
it real quick? Cause I'm kinda curious.
What's a B33 size? So this would be 26, the pot's 26, you call that, you make it 35. Then you would raise, so 20 is about, what is that, about a B30? That's about a B30, right?
I do not think about check raises in the way I should. I think about them as a multiple of the bet size.
Can't remember the suits now. Queen 8 deuce rainbow. Small blind with the jack 9.
Gonna
And
have
had
continues here. for
had the
sure.
back door, right? What was their back door? The die was with the deuce.
They've got a backdoor combo.
Yeah, the back door was the spades in our solver world here. So they check, gets to the big blind. They had the jack 10 of, they had the back door the other with the 8. So they would have diamonds here. So jack 10 can bet. They do. They go the fit B50. And then the jack 9 of spades is just a pure call, a little bit of raising, and the sizing is actually that's not too far off. It's a
Yeah, you're right.
B43.
He doesn't really use a 3x. He uses a 2.5x. Well, so this is, I think, another example why small blind's a good player. Because he's adjusting his XR size because of the SPR correctly in the 3-bet pot, which frankly I'm not very good at.
So it's slightly smaller than this. So yeah, I guess we calculated it correct. His was like a B30, and solver likes B33, whatever, when he does it. But yeah, okay. And I figured it would be the smaller size. I just didn't think it would be quite this small.
Yeah. Interesting.
So king 6 can open here. Then we know queen 10 is a fold in the small blind. It should raise and take it. Now they're a short stack, but let's see what happens. We're gonna get a limp. This is gonna be some weird hand, I think. So we get the limp, we get a complete. Okay, so this is interesting. What should we do here with queen 10 versus a limp?
So what would I do with queen 10? I think I chuck it because it's early position.
Yeah, we always wonder what we need to do versus limpers with these kind of hands. And I feel like it's almost like the good players, the coaches out there complete here a lot with hands that you wouldn't normally think you'd complete with, just because you're getting into a pot with players that are weak and are going to make mistakes post flop.
I think the first question you ask yourself is, can I make the nuts with this hand? Yes, you can, but it's not great. Because you've got
Right.
a gapper, unsuited gapper. I would chuck it. I can
I
understand
think
why.
I would too. I think I would fold it.
I think, players with, where they feel they have a significant edge on field, probably play it, but I would chuck it.
Yep, me too. So 4-2 gets to see a flop, and it goes top pair check, bottom pair check, middle pair is going to bet. They go over bet,
Bet.
a B125.
Who does not? GAF.
Yeah. So we see
Queen
the check
10
raise
is,
comes
this is,
from top pair.
this is pretty aggro against his sizing.
Yeah, we know
Now-
you don't get very many check raises with when there's that size bet.
Yeah, against this, I would call against the Nova bet. This is quite aggro.
So we'll just let this play out now. They're going value and
I don't know. I don't think that's a pretty play. I wouldn't make
no,
that play.
I wouldn't. Yeah, me either. I don't like the raising myself.
Okay, so let me see here. We've got a poster. That would actually maybe ace jack is really kind of cuspy here. But I think I maybe aggressively want to steal this post, so I'm gonna go to 3.5. So I'm probably going to go 3.5 and go on 1761, and I'm gonna run into it. So yeah, so he wants to aggressively go after this post. So villain 1755 should go to 3 times 4. What about this? Yeah, good. Ace queen has no reason to be in his hand. He needs to get out. Everybody else needs to get out. And this is a huge mistake. This is why we make money, not worrying about blockers. Ace jack should fold. This is always a fold. You are dominated, sir. Okay, so good play is not punished this time. Check, check. He has got a very dry flop. Now, I think here you need to think about what their calling range is. And I may be influenced by seeing the hand, but what we see in solving here a lot is that you see it more with ace king, where you have an ace flop. So it's kind of the same thing here. You've got the very best king on a very dry flop. So I think you aggressively play this. But it's multi-way, but you're in position. Yeah, he's gonna aggressively play. He knows that he's got some hands that are, okay. Ace jack, goodbye, and you're gonna call this off all day. And this is how you make money. Nice game. Dude, the players at Ignition today are really a lot worse than the players at Global. I'm jealous.
Quite surprised that these numbers would indicate this player was probably seems pretty decent, and they made pretty healthy mistake here at pre-flop and post-flop.
Yeah, this is horrible play. This is really horrible. And they got punished.
I mean, that's terrible.
You know,
Just looking at notes, everything else seems pretty wide. There's some 4-betting with 7s, 3-betting. I mean, who knows what the situation was. Calling 4-bets with ace queen off. Yeah, so the numbers themselves kind of tell a story like, oh, it's probably pretty decent. And then you see some pretty ridiculous play.
yeah, this is really bad.
Queen 10 off is too early here. 10-6 is a poster. If it gets around to Jack 10, I would ISO Jack 10 off. It's probably a little on the looser side when you think about what's the, we talked about it earlier, go back 2 positions, take the top half of that range, Jack 10 wouldn't fall in there. So, but on the button, I typically kind of stick with standard button opening ranges. But anyway, Queen 10 decides to open, they open for min, 10-6, they should just fold, Jack 10 should fold. King Jack, this is probably pretty close to like not defending in theory.
I think this is a fold in theory.
Yeah.
I think King Jack suited here is a call, but I think this is a fold.
Considering it's me and considering, well, I don't know what I knew about this player at the time. If these numbers are accurate, I would assume they're kind of bad. And then I would know this guy's pretty bad. I'd probably call here.
I prefer a squeeze to a call. This coming down.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think I like that as well. Just to check.
Again, I might be influenced by the cards I see, but I think this hand is doing better as a squeeze.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm seeing that a lot more. So this case, we'll say, I think it was up here somewhere. We'll give it the end of the gun. We had a call, or it was a cutoff, poster, short stack, and we're in the big blind with King Jack off. And it actually likes a call,
Huh.
but it's got some folds, so that which means, it's kind of pretty indifferent.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, that's versus ranges that are solver approved ranges, and these we know they're not. So maybe it makes the call better, maybe it makes squeezing better.
Because we could see their HUD stats. Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. It's a low flop. 6-10 goes for a B33 in position. I wonder if I'm the one who makes the check raise here based on the flop. I do.
Get in. I like you. You like the tank. You make an aggressive play here. Get in, sir.
All right. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of based on flop texture and positions.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Purely-
I mean, I made a similar play a couple nights ago live where I had nothing against cutoff. Cutoff C-bet flop. No, cutoff check flop. It was like 2-3-3 or 2-3-4. And I double barreled and got the hand with arrow. Got him to fold probably ace high. So
One thing I'm always curious about, this is could be a very donkable flop, but multi-way, I know I've been looking at some Prometheus post flop sims,
uh
and they do build in donks just like GTO Wizard builds in donks.
are
If
the
you
textures similar?
are the textures similar?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the exact flop, yeah. To the
Yeah, I
exact
would, this, I don't, this might be dominant. This might be dominant.
Yeah, and I noticed that Peak GTO does not do any donking on any flop. Ever.
Interesting. They did not include dogs.
No, they do not.
They didn't want to get their kids into trouble.
This one's you.
We should, I wonder if anybody's posted anything about that on this, on the, Discord. Okay, so hero is really early, but I think gets to open with this pseudo combo. I am not as familiar with 9-max ranges, but I think you do get the RFI here.
It does. Ace four suited would be in the range. I know since this is hero, I can tell you, I would be looking at the table with the ace deuce does not, ace three does not, ace four starts the opens. And it's funny, of course, we know ace four and ace five are actually kind of the solver special type hands that have a lot of equity, even more so than like the other aces, even all the way up to like ace 10. They have more equity than those hands.
The
But
real-
I would imagine sometimes I'll look at the table and decide if I want to open ace four this early. And I fold it.
Okay, so you're gonna fold it. We might see a set here. Ace king opens, keep, sixes defends. So so this is where it gets interesting. I think this becomes a fold at this price. What do you think?
Yeah, it's close. I wonder why. I don't know this. I don't remember this player, but yeah, 5x with sixes in the big. I think the pairs at this stack depth at the 100 big blinds, I think still will defend. Let's
I'm
take
not
a look
sure.
at 3x flops with
You go to 5x. Do you want me?
5x, I mean, sorry.
Okay.
I wanted to go here. Yeah, 5x. He was on the button.
I'm not sure.
It might even be just pure three. Yeah, they don't call anymore. It's all three betting.
Yeah, no, this is important to see. I mean, of course, playing live you see 5x opens, which is the it's $10 all the time, right?
Yeah.
And people just don't do that the right frequency.
That's versus this range.
But also I'm playing Chippy V, and so this is high rake environment, so it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. he's
So
gonna
you're
flat-
right about this being on the edge.
Yeah. I think you just don't have it. Well, this is gonna be spicy, so. Check, so ace king should check here. This hand has enough, I wouldn't bet him, I would check, you just have enough showdown and you've got a bad flop. And this is why, so ace king is in a kind of a world of hurt deals to fold. You should check that, you shouldn't bet. You
Yeah.
should check, ace king, maybe even ace queen. Ace king is your best non-pair against a bad flop, let's check.
Yep. Folds around should be a small blind raise and take it. But we're gonna see somebody limp in here somewhere, I bet. There it is. And now the ace jack. Well, we're broken stacks both ways. Doesn't matter. ISO. Since they're shorter stacks, I suppose in theory you can go shorter size ISOs. My typical sizing, if it were me, would be 5 versus all the full stack sizings, maybe make it 4. I don't know. They limp behind, so we're gonna see a flop 3 ways.
So this is an error, right? You don't want to take this in.
Yep.
So this is why it's an error. A big part of profit in this game is equity in.
They go pot with their middle pair.
I think I would continue with the ace. I think I would continue with the ace of, well, I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't flat the same.
Yeah. And then the 2-5 is gonna check raise their 2 pair. We'll see what. So there's the pot. So we see this a lot. We see a limp and then pot from villains a lot, from fish.
Yeah, this is a good check raise. He doesn't care. He's gonna always get in if he's stepped up.
Mm-hmm. Take it away.
Is it me?
Yep.
It should fold out to 6s and everyone should fold. Clearly that did not happen. This is horrible. So I don't, yeah, Jack 4 fold, that's fine. Again, I kind of like one kind of bonus thing we're seeing is why would you want to deny equity? Right? I mean, you just seem to kind of bingo flops where you would have just wanted 3 if you had raised.
Mhm.
So check. Of course, he's gonna bet, and he's going to. I don't know. I'd go to like, yeah, whatever. That's fine. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
and
do
again-
this. I don't think actually. I don't think this is fine. I think this is very poor.
Yeah.
Because you've got too much equity. I would check raise here. I'd go to like 6 or 7.
Yep. But
You
look what
might
we
be a
see
little
again.
nervous about the flop texture or something.
The limp and then pot it.
Yeah, again, see this all the time. No.
King Jack's too early, should go kings open, ace is 3-bet. We should just be getting it in pre-flop here. Maybe there's some slow playing of aces that we're gonna see. Still should go the way it should go. We should make it 4.5, 4, 4.5, or 5, whatever he does. He goes big. I wonder, we don't really see anything indicative just in these pure HUD stats that say he should do this.
This is not. This is not necessary.
Now with aces and you get this giant ISO. I mean, I guess you still have to 3-bet here, but it's almost so good versus this giant size.
Agreed, especially because you're out of position.
Yeah, he does
About-
flat, and King Jack should flat. So
I
he
think that-
flats it. Yeah, 7-4. I mean, this is just probably going to get it in here on the flop. Yep, bang, and King's flat.
Well, he successfully trapped.
Yeah, and then
We check.
no, yeah. Well, it went check raise,
Check raise,
then call, and then
bad
Yeah.
turn, and then he shows. And he's getting it. What were his, can you go back to turn and see what the pot odds that were being offered to Kings was here? I just wanted to, I sometimes helps me to. So this is essentially 2/3 pot, which is 28%, so it's almost getting odds. Okay, thanks.
But I am not as like I don't hate this flat to the giant ISO size. Like I don't agree. I wouldn't do it. But
Yeah, but I wanted to talk to you about this because this gets into a very interesting spot. So in theory, you're pot committed if you go over 30% of your step.
yeah,
And so I would go to 20 here. I'll go to 20 or 25.
Yeah, me
Probably
too.
25.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, if I were to raise, I'd probably just go like just barely over min, like 22.
Mm.
Would I, if I had ace king here, do we just, what do we do with ace king? Or queens? Or jacks? Because if we're ever calling any hand, we can call aces. But as we saw earlier, we shouldn't be calling any hand. We should be three betting any hand we play. Did I lose you, Larry?
I'm here.
Okay. Curious if they go to the 7x sizing. It's just going to be more three betting. So button raises 7. Yeah, there's just never calling to these big sizes.
Notice though the reduction in size, right? So it's not a 4x out of position. It's now a 3x.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's important for me to see. I need to look at this more. This is important for me to see because this, you see this kind of sizing live all the time.
This is you.
Okay, Jack's open. Ace queen. Hold up, I got low back. Ace queen is a 3-better fold. It's not a flat hand. So I think we're gonna get a flat and we shouldn't.
I think this early, that is low jacks. I think this early, yeah, I think you might even see it might mix folding.
I think it's a mixed 3-bet fold.
Yeah.
This this is an error. So he doesn't need to pass play this again. What we're gonna see. He's gonna check. He's gonna stab, and then his equity. So this is an important thing for me to see. Let's just. He's three betting here. He's check raising here partly. Well, there's two mistakes here. One, he's check raising and he's blocking all continuing. And two, he might be check raising because he's nervous about the hearts. Look at his equity. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. So his equity, I don't want to put this into an equity calculator and give villain 1760. Is I'll do that can I do that on the side while you're going through hands?
Yeah, sure. Can we see it?
Because I just want to reiterate, mostly to my own head, that we don't care about about folding out equity to the front door. Don't care about it because I'm curious how the 25% to the 25% to the vote affects our equity here. So Jack 7-2, Jack diamonds, 4 hearts. Got Jack. I pick Jack spades, Jack clubs, work. And then I want to have ace, king, hearts.
Can you share?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's. What do I do? Oh, ace, queen, ace, hearts, queen. One, sure.
Can you share your screen? Oh, there we go.
Okay, can you see?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got still 73% equity. So this is 73% equity versus um the front door, right? And then if we just change, this is what we saw. um, This is 95% equity, 93%. I just think in both cases, I think the important thing for me here is hearts. What I was really curious about, so this ace heart, queen heart would have 32% equity against like a top pair, top picker. I think it's either, yeah, it's 30, 32. So when we have boat outs, we gain like 5 points. We gain 5. Like if this was ace club here, that was a big difference. Oh, it's a lot more than I thought. But really what we're seeing here is the value of what I'm trying to show. Nothing to look at that. The value of this top set is a lot more than what these people know. Even against the front door hearts. So the point I'm making is that we should be slow playing this a lot more than what we're seeing here, where people are check raising fast playing. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
What I would do here is I would slow play. I would slow play flop. Fast play turn with check raise, and if they check, then I just palm it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
This should go button open. King 8 suited with mixing some 3 bets, probably a smaller portion of 3 bets with King 8. No, probably pretty close to pure calling with King 8 suited.
Yeah, I think you get some slivers. I think you're in the slivers here.
Yeah, it'd be like a little sliver of it that I typically would ignore, but let's take a look at just how much. I think once you get to king, well, actually King 8 might be more than I think. No, it's pure. So the little slivers come down here. Yeah, okay. So they
I
defend.
don't think it was the most friend.
We get this flop. Interesting that we're going to see a check raise here.
Insanity are we gonna get here?
So he's going to see bet.
Someone's
Probably gets.
gonna play something crazy.
Yeah, so he just kind of goes for, I mean, this guy's HUD stat shows that he is loose and aggressive. Very loose and aggressive. This guy's HUD stats has been very tight. Continuation betting has been like, not big sample sizes, but he hasn't even continuation bet much. But yeah, so we're just seeing maybe a villain sort of dependent action.
Yeah, this is him. How many hands? I
A
wonder how many hands he's played against this
population,
guy. Maybe a lot.
a population exploit, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, this is kind of what a good player is gonna do. He's gonna see he is. Just comes down to the fact when you're opening 60% of hands, what's his RFI, like 60 or 40 or whatever?
This guy,
Oh, that guy's got a good,
this guy's tight.
yeah, so I would not make this play against a type player.
Yeah. And he, like I said, he doesn't have like, he hasn't c-bet every flop he's seen. So this is a little wide, obviously. So it's
Yeah, this is a
clearly
little
some
wild.
kind of like exploit, population exploit.
Yeah.
People c-betting too much. Just go ahead and check raise, wider than you typically would normally check raise.
And this is random.
Like we're not going to see this check raise in the solver.
If we've seen a suicide check raise so far today, this qualifies.
Yeah. Does King 10 get to call a check raise? King 10 with the king of clubs.
They're close. No, I would overfold here.
Yeah, overfold to population.
Yeah, I would overfold,
Absolutely.
but you have a good question. If we get to continue. Okay.
I don't think. I don't think it does. I think maybe with the ace of clubs, maybe it does. So check. He goes small. King 10 with the king of clubs is going to have some C bets there. Sure. Yeah, of course. And then he gets check raised in the smaller-ish department. Yeah, it's still kind of getting in there a little bit. Ace 10,
What size did he use for his check raise?
like not much,
Yeah, you're right.
not a B100 and not a B50, somewhere in between, closer to the B50. So I mean, the king 10 in theory can call because you've got the backdoor straights, you've got the backdoor flushes. Ace 10 is calls less often than king 10. So just wanted to check that out
Interesting.
because sometimes I feel like I'm too tight versus check raises, and if they're coming from players like this,
Yeah, this is different. We don't see many animals like this, do we?
clearly this king 8 of hearts probably is not going to be in here. Yeah, it's just pure fold.
This is savage. Get in, dude. All right, is it my turn?
Your turn.
It should. I don't know how this hand is going to go around. It should fall. It should go around the button here. I should take this, but I would imagine E6 is going to play. And that's going to happen. Man.
Yeah, queen 10 hijack gets to open.
Yeah. So against Queen 10 with your King 10, you get some three bets here. Um. And you mix, call three bet, call's fine. 8-6 should not, okay, yeah, this is all horrible. This is an argument for three betting. So we see what happens here. Bad play is rewarded. So you're gonna make a bet, which is fine. He's gonna go to 12 or something. 9. Now you're in an interesting spot here, Euro. So the first thing I'm gonna ask myself in this situation is, can I improve? It is very hard for you to improve here. You know, I mean, he should have bluffs wrapped around the 8-6 for straights, and he's got diamond bluffs. So I probably call one. Let's see what happens. Okay, now it's gonna be easy for me to get away, and I fold.
I hate the pre-flop. Well, I don't hate it, but the king high call flat, the king high cold call, I don't like. The king 10 suited is normally a three bet for me pre-flop, and I'm wondering why I decided to flat here. I know it does probably on the charts have some
It
mix
mixes,
in some flats.
Yeah, I just looked at mixes.
So I just looking at players behind, I don't see any obvious signs that I should be cold calling to try to play pots in position. Maybe it was this guy. I should be three betting. I should be three betting, not calling here.
I think you're right, and I think the other thing we can take away is this is a good example of you would have won it pre.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Right. Hijack. So queen 10 is in there. It's like it's the cuspy one. It's a 3x open. So this is probably going to be a little different. King 10, I know it mixes in there, but I just always three bet king 10 suited. I don't know why I decided to do that. Okay. where does ace 10 go? Where's ace 10's a mix too, right? Yeah, ace 10 and ace jack are the ones that are like almost always calling, whereas the king high suited ones want to three bet more. So maybe I was at the time, I was like, oh yeah, king 10 suited gets to call a lot, and I just didn't realize. But usually king 10 suited is a pure, almost a pure three bet in position for me, or even out of position. All right, king jack in the low jack. That gets some opens. They're broken stack though. If they fold, ace 8 gets to open. A lot of broken stacks at this table. So let's see what happens. King jack can open, and they do. Now ace 8 with this broken stack is probably just a fold versus this broken stack, whereas it could be a three bet versus a full stack. They fold. And now 9, okay, queen 8 calls, flats with queen 8 off. And then 9-7 suited, this would be a call. I think this is going to stay in as a call, multi-way, one gapper. They do call. We know where the check raise is coming from. Well, I guess we assume it's going to come from the, who knows, maybe the queen 8 is going to check raise. So king jack C bets, small. Queen 8 makes the little min click check raise. 9-7's in kind of a neat position, weird position. I think they're a broken stack. Maybe you could just flat and hope somebody else decides they want to just shove it in or something. So they jam, and now the queen 8's going to call, I'm sure. Yeah. Interesting. So the queen 8 off in the small blind. Remember these ranges, folks.
Remember the main.
Oh, that's the same hand. There we go.
All right, this is mine.
Yep.
All right, tens get to open. Ace 6 is really should fold here. Ace 3 and ace 4, ace 5 get three bets, but here it's just fold. And then big blind, I think it does get to defend here against hijack. Yeah, it's the bottom of the defending range. Ace 6 is, this is an error. You just dominated. Three bet or fold. It's better as a three bet. So ace 10 should fold now.
Nice. I think I agree. I think in the charts, ace 10 is a fold,
Yeah, ace 10 is
Which-
dominated too much. Just fold it.
which is surprising to a lot of people, I think.
Domination is very important at this stack depth. Reverse implied odds is very important at this stack depth.
I don't remember where the raise came from, but I know it was kind of early.
You're not gonna have, yeah, you're not gonna, this is a high rate environment. Yeah. But ace 10 is way out of that. Okay, so
It wasn't way out of there. It was indifferent.
really,
Yeah.
this is
Oh,
also,
ace 10. Oh, sorry. I was looking at suited. No, yeah, ace 10 off is way out of there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
so,
Ace 10 suited was indifferent.
yeah. So, I would check here a lot as villain. I'm being influenced by the cards. I think I check. I got a marginal hand, and I'm just really want to get the showdown.
I bet it
Um,
gets to bet
yeah, in position, it might get
In-
some bets.
in theory. Yeah, just being in position. We could maybe even look at this one because I think it has a decent amount of betting, not pure, but a decent amount.
I'd be curious to see this from Metius and see what it does here.
Okay, let's do it. What do? They go, it's not going to like the size. It'll be like a B25, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think multiplay, you'd want to check your eights through jacks, eights through queens, maybe not. Maybe your eights through queens want to bet in. I'll leave it up to you if you want to pick it up and from UPS.
Oh, we will.
Okay, so he bets ace six now is going to pay the price of opening this hand. Ace ten is going to, this is really, this is the sign of bad play, so. This is the magic of poker, right? Bad play is gonna be rewarded here. Everybody should fold. Everybody's get out of the way. Ace six to continue with his multiple back doors. I think this is probably a mistake. Check. Villain 17-17. Essentially, he's turned his top pair into a semi bluff. And so that's why he's downsizing here. This is where we can look at sizing tell. This is the clear sizing tell. We get to call. Villain 7. Out of position, going to check, and ace 10 should check.
Yeah. I'm gonna slide this over here so I can see it, so we can set this up. Yeah, well, hijack, small blind, big blind, single raise pot. Cards were ace 4-8 rainbow. So the small blind who called has some donking. These ace high flops out of position.
I really question this solve, dude.
Yeah, right.
This seems just ridiculous during this texture.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I really do. I really question this. I mean, we can't dive in deeper and look at range versus range or anything, but this feels like an inning. Big blind checks.
Now it gets to the tens. And yeah, like we suspected, they do have some
Yeah, they mix.
mixing in there. They went with a bigger size, which in these sims they allow it. But in position with these pairs, these lower pairs that want protection, look, notice queens check more, kings check pure, because they don't need the protection if you're assuming you have the best hand at the moment with tens and jacks and nines. They need the most protection, right?
Yeah.
Ace six just wants to call now. Yeah, I suppose, right? And then the big blind, so this sim has them with some ace tens, whereas Wiz does not. So that's about as far as we need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously their ranges are considerably different.
Yeah, they are.
That was you, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna get a raise from ace five, I bet. Who knows? Somebody might limp. And then queens are gonna. So there's the raise. Broken stack. It's gonna three bet, or are they gonna flat? They min three bet. Well, all right. So this is an ace five suited.
I think it mixes four bets and calls, right? It's not pure four bet there.
Yeah, versus like normal sizing, it would absolutely have four bets in here. Probably almost like pure. Like I don't think it would
Is
ever.
it pure?
It's
is it
very
pure?
close. I think there's a very small percentage of calling out of position. A little tiny bit of calling there.
No, it folds in this one. We do not fold in poker coaching, but it mixes folds.
Oh, really? Poker coaching has him calling?
It has it mixing 3-bet, 4-bet call.
At what frequency, do you know?
Sure, there's no folding. What
Oh.
frequency between the two?
Yeah,
I think it's around 50-50.
50-50? Yep. Where'd you go? So to this bet, I think we just call all the time. Maybe you just want to use it as a 4-bet bluff versus these little min raises. I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either. You have to decide what this stupid 3-bet size is.
yeah.
Okay, now it's gonna get interesting.
So we know where the check raise is coming from,
Huh.
and this is a great flop for his
This is
hand.
also important to see the equity. So it's, anybody watching and Keithus and Richie. Notice how much equity you have here with your combo go. You are ahead
Yeah.
against the Nova Cup.
And they go for the check raise versus the B75 or so. And they check raise jam versus this broken versus the short stack. So probably just fine, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I think it's a little bit too much of a blunderbuss.
Because if you make, what are you going to make it 20 something? And then that half is half the stack.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's go. You have a very good question. Let's go back and look at sizing here. Can you go back to here? So let's look at, you have a very good point. So our SPR now is 3. You really do want to see 2 cards, don't you? Yeah, okay. I'm on boat. I'm on your boat. I think Sheldon's right. You want to see 2 cards. That's how I busted in playing live on Saturday. But I had an open ender. Or an open ended and a flush draw. And was 55-45 against somebody else with the pair plus draw. Is this me?
I think so.
Okay. And by the way, antithesis, Richie, if you guys want to have a hand, just feel free to say something in chat or yeah, you're more than welcome to join. But I'll just power on. I don't mind talking, as you noticed. Antithesis, you want to take this one?
I'll just try.
Sure, man. Go for it.
I think cutoff will open, and I think the small blind should 3-bet possibly.
Okay, let's get there. We know that the king, we know cutoff should open. That's definitely within range. I think ace 8 is just going to be a pure fold versus a cutoff. Let's take a quick look here.
I think probably gets a mix with ace jack.
So versus a cutoff, 2.5. There's a little tiny sliver of calling if you're going to follow the charts to the letter of the law, but yeah, it's just folding these middle aces
Fold.
here.
Yeah, ace jack off is where you get to get savage.
So it should fold.
And they're a broken stack as well, so we're not surprised to see this call. This is why we look at these hands. We get to see what these players are actually playing with. That doesn't surprise us. We see this all the time, don't we?
We do.
So now we know where the check raise is coming from. They check.
Yes.
What do you think about this c-bet?
He can check actually within 178. It can check there.
Yeah, it's actually a good
Very
flop.
small bet.
It's actually a good flop for cutoff. So c-betting probably is not out of the question. With his bottom pair here and a gut shot to the nuts. He gets check raised with the ace with a crappy kicker. I definitely disagree with small blinds check raise here. And villain cutoff makes the call. I think both players are playing right on the edge of playing terribly.
Can you go back one? I want to see what pod versus equity is here.
One more.
Just, yeah, this is perfect. So, this is always curious to me with the gutter. He does have the odds to call. Does have the equity versus odds to call. Okay, thank you, sir.
So the ace eight slows down after getting called. And we assume he's turning his hand into a bluff here, semi-bluff. Oh, he gets min check raised.
Double XR.
How about that? And he folds correctly. So yeah, we see this kind of, I mean, I don't, we know we're not supposed to defend the ace eight here. We know that, but he does. And he goes for a check raise with a very marginal ace when this board is really good for the in position player here. I think versus a true small blind range, it's probably not that bad for a true small blind range either. If you look at the charts of what small blind really is calling with on these charts, I mean, they're just up here. It's all these suited broadways.
Guys, I'm gonna take a break. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
If I,
Gotcha, Larry.
don't wait for me, just go ahead and start.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, it's probably not the worst board for a small blind flat. They're gonna have some two pairs in here. They're gonna have some straights. But versus a true range of somebody who's a broken stack like this, and we see ace eight calling here, which should not be calling. It's more like a big blind range. And now if you're talking about big blind versus cutoff, then this would be a terrible check raise because you're just going to be so far behind his range. But then we see the rest of the play. All right, next hand. This should go king four suited in the low jack is a fold. Queen should raise, and the sevens should defend with a call. See what happens. Queens raise, and sevens defend by calling. So all good so far in theory land.
Yeah.
So with the sevens, they check. We know a check raise is coming. So this is going to be pretty sorry for the sevens. They check. Queens, they c-bet small, and then they're going to get check raised. And queens right now is just loving life. So this goes back to Larry's point about, I guess the check raises came from the other players who had all the equity. Now the queens have all the equity, and they're getting check raised by a pair of sevens. Pair under the second, I just don't think you're just ever going to get check raises in theory. So it's just an aggressive check raise. Could be an exploitative check raise. And then the queens with this massive
That's a good
lock on the
call.
board. Yeah, it's a good call in position. We know,
Call.
yeah. Calling in position is all when you get fewer check raises, or you get fewer three bets when you're in position versus out of position. So they call, as they probably should. So we'll see how this plays out. Sevens decide to give up, probably, I'm guessing. The queens, they're going to trap.
I think it's scared of the eights.
Well, they're not scared because they've basically got the nuts right now. So you're only scared of quads.
Yeah.
So that's just a pure trap. They're wanting villain 1802 to bet all of their worst value hands and or bluffs, which he doesn't get. So now he gets to the river. He's got the second nuts basically. and he goes for pot size bet and gets a fold. So yeah, so interesting play by the sevens there. If we were to look at this in a solver, I don't think sevens are ever going to be check raising. But if we think about it in an exploitative world, it's probably not as bad as it would be in a solver, because maybe you get players that c-bet too much. So these, pocket sevens might be able to check raise
Exactly.
and get protection, get value from hands that are, it's still kind of an early position. We're still talking hijack, but versus a cutoff or a button, it probably gets even better. But in solver land, yeah, you probably would never see this. You want to take this one?
Maybe K3, no, QT, I think button opens. I think it's come down to fold. And button opens and A6 maybe defends it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if anything else happens. So we got around to the button. There's the open. So A6, big blind. What should A6 do?
Do you think it can re-raise here? No. 3-bet here? No,
I think in the charts, I think it wants to call. A6 probably just wants to call. There might be a little sliver of some 3-betting. Let's take a look. Now this is versus a 2.5x. So all these middle suited aces, like pure calling. And then you get your
it's only S5, S4, yeah. Betting
Yeah.
3-bet, yeah.
Now versus a 3x open, that changes things a lot. And you might, my guess,
Might get folds, yeah.
well, no, it's not going to fold. I'll tell you that. But what might happen, you might see the 3-bet frequency go up. Let's take a look. Was it the button? Yeah, it was the button raise.
Button raise, yeah.
And then big blind, now that it's a 3x open, notice how we see more 3-betting?
Yeah.
And the reason is because of the bigger size, there's more money in the pot to fight for. This has a higher rake environment. And you just, you don't want to flat as often in those high rake environments. So now it likes to 3-bet more, which we suspected.
0.5 BB can make such big changes.
Yeah. All right, so we get to the flop, and the A6 gets a backdoor, couple backdoors. They got backdoor straight possibilities, backdoor flush possibilities, so we know where the check raise is coming from. Queen 10 on the button. What do you think about c-betting here?
I think it's a pure check here for button. Not much to go for.
Yeah, and I think you can c-bet. I think we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. If we look at it in a solver, it's going to want to mix. But versus population, versus a 50 NL population, you might be able to get away with over c-betting, which, we've seen some exploits already. Once you start over c-betting, people can exploit you by check raising a lot more hands. I don't think that happens very often. We've seen it a couple times already, but this would, you would check this back a lot in theory. Versus population, I think you can c-bet it as well. I think either or is good. What do? We know they're going to bet because we filtered for check raises. So they go B50, and then we're going to get we're going to get the check raise. And that's a decent size check raise. That's 4x almost. And then the queen 10 should just get out of there. But you were right. It should check a lot. Let's do a quick one here. That's a good flop for big blind. And those paired flops are going to get check raised more often than non-paired flops. I think it was 4 deuce deuce or 4. Oh no, 8 4 4. 8 4 4 rainbow. Let's go 8 4 4 rainbow. Big blind might get some donks. No, not as much. Not many. tiny, tiny bit, but they check. And then the queen 10 went for a kind of a bigger bet, but yeah, notice they do see bet quite a bit here. And they also check. So either one's fine. And I probably see betting in population if we were to node lock the big blind to have a range that you typically see, it probably is even better to see bet. But they bet, I think it was a B50.
3 point something.
Yeah, so that was right about B50. And then the ace-6 suited of clubs had a nice check raise with the back doors. That was pretty good. Well played by both villains. Next hand. All right, King Jack gets to open. King Jack suited gets to open back there, and that should fold around. He should raise and take it, but that's not going to happen. Let's see what happens. So there's the raise.
10, I think 10-8.
10-8's going to
Maybe
flat.
flats. I think so. No. Oh.
Fold. I'll bet Queen Jack flats. Two suited cards. They can't resist the two suited cards.
Yeah.
8-9 should just fold. All right, so now we're going to see a flop. We know Queen Jack off is a pure fold in the small blind to an early position raise like that.
Yeah,
Even Queen Jack suited is a fold.
Yeah, this is a significant blunder.
Yep.
And it's rewarded.
It's rewarded. So here comes the check raise. There's the check. Early position, King Jack. Yeah, I bet you can still just see bet this. I mean, certainly, we talked about the population exploits. You can just really kind of see bet more often than you need to, or more often than solver would say. But we know they're going to do it, and they do. And here comes the check raise. It's a min click. It's a min click. I mean, I think I don't know. I think you just fold King Jack, right? I mean, you got the back doors, but do we continue? In position?
This is a weird one. I'd probably peel one because I've got really good blockers to the queens and because
That's a great point, Larry.
I got a back door around the 6.
Yeah.
I-
They do call.
I would have not lost enough money yet here.
Picked up a little equity to a
So
pot
now
size bet.
Now I'd
it's a-
get out.
Yep. Now
Now
it's a-
I'm really serious.
All right, Larry.
Yeah, so this should go blind versus blind. Be a blind versus blind hand. Okay, so you're in an interesting spot here, Hero. I think you don't really, so I think this is where poker coaching ranges diverse significantly from GTO Wizard. Where you do get some three bets in this range, but this should be a fold. And so, flat here. Where is a check raise coming from? This is really interesting. So, check, 8-7, which actually is a fold free. It's gonna bet small. Eights, looks like they're gonna turn this into a bluff.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, I think you were just stepped away, Larry. So, I mean, this player looks like he's really loose and aggressive. So I don't know if, excuse me, 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry.
It's in tight.
Thank you. We saw this happen earlier where the flop was, something like Queen 8, whatever, and then the big blind had 7s and they check raised. All right. And we talked about that could be, some population exploits happening there where people are just gonna c bet too much. And
Yeah. So you're
versus
turning
the-
your under pairs into a bluff that miss.
Yeah, or not even so much of a bluff. You often have the best hand too. So it's kind of like a hybrid, so to speak, right?
Yeah, this might be an exploit we're seeing from. This I think is also another good reason that we're doing these filters, because we would have never seen this if we were just looking at a regular hand history. Because we wouldn't have the condensed check raise ability to see this happen multiple times. I think that it's something for us to take away, right? If we walk away from this, I'm actually gonna take a note and I'm gonna look into this play. Because we've seen it twice, and I think you're right. I think there's people that are playing for profit at NL50. I think they come from stables, and I think they're teaching this. You know what I mean?
You said you think they're coaching this?
I think they're coming. Yeah, I think there's people playing in stables at NL50, and I think that they are coaching these.
Yeah, interesting. And the reason I went to look at this guy's HUD, just to like kind of see. I mean, we're only 20 hands with this guy. If
All right, forget the stable theory.
and he's loose and aggressive, so maybe, I mean, who knows what kind of hand distribution he's had. He could have easily had the kind of hands to have a 50-25. But if a good player is doing this, yeah, then I imagine it's a population exploit.
Yeah, this guy clearly he's got it. Maybe it's a small sample. It's a very good people.
Antithesis, this is you.
I think, oh yeah, aces will open and 8-9 will defend. No, sorry, 8-9 will defend it. I think Jack 2 deuce will defend. The rest of them all folds.
Yeah, what do you think about, so ace is open, so in theory, what should happen to 9-8 here?
I think they will flat. They will flat because it's a very good
But
hand to,
what do you think the charts say they should do? Do you think the charts say they should
They
flat?
either fold or raise, no flatting.
Yeah, no flatting. They should fold is what should happen.
Fold.
And then Jack 2
No.
in the big blind.
They will flat.
And what should they do?
Should either they should they should flat. They should flat because big blind would always defend for a wide range, and Jack deuce suited is a good hand to defend.
Okay, I'm gonna show you that would be
Check.
too wide in theory. Not that it's gonna be a bad
Okay.
defend, but especially to a 3x. And again, this really comes down to rake. Rake is gonna
Okay.
like
Yeah.
eat this stuff up. So we had the raise from, I think it was a cutoff, right? And just to really nail down the point, let's make it a 3x in a high rake environment. They raise and oh, no, it was a button.
Button.
Okay, yeah, let's make it from the button. None of the suited connectors are calling here except for some 6-5 and then these guys, and they're all 3-betting. None of them are calling. They're all 3-betting. And then once they fold, Jack deuce is just so far out of the range here, and it's because of rake. Rake is going to eat these hands alive when you just flat these weak hands. Because if we change this to chip EV, oops, let's go back here. And we go to chip EV, which means there is no rake. So maybe you're paying a timed rake or whatever environment that you're in here. There's no rake in this. Now we can see, even with no rake, Jack deuce is still a fold. Let's check out the small blind. Let's see how much more they get to play. So now we sneak in some of these, and they're still 3-betting them. There's little slivers of calling, but they're still folding more than half the time. So yeah, if there's something you definitely want to take away there is the big blind defense in cash games. Are you a tournament player, Antithesis?
No, I've just started playing cash games only. So
Oh,
I
okay.
had a good session to learn.
Yeah, then this is really good for you to know.
Exactly.
Because I assume you're playing like online or somewhere where there's a rake, and when there's a rake, flatting just eats into any kind of winnings and profit that you would typically kind of have. And if you're just playing for fun, sure, have fun with it. But if you're looking to seriously improve your game, look into how tight you kind of need to be. Because I noticed that you were kind of like, yeah, 8-9 can call, Jack Deuce can call. These are hands you don't want to be defending with, especially to a bigger size raise that we're seeing here. So, but yeah, we noticed we do and what we're seeing here is that people make mistakes, right? These are, in theory, these are mistakes. These are losing plays, but they make them. So now we go to the flop. And it's an open ender versus aces, so we know where the check raise is coming from. Check, he C bets. And he gets a pretty healthy size check raise with the open ender. What do you think about let's let you continue the hand now. What should we do with aces? Now remember, we don't know their cards, right? We're assuming we're playing aces. We know we have aces here, but we don't know what he's playing. What do you think of aces right now?
Maybe I'll. So if only person who can raise is maybe he has got sets of 10 or 7. So maybe I'll just defend or may I call the bet.
Yeah, I think if we
Raising.
ran this, you're right. I think if we ran this through a solver, I think it is going to call an awful lot as opposed to putting in a 3-bet here. Because in position, I think this came up once before. In position, we're going to have much fewer 3-bets because they're polarizing, right? They either have a really good hand or typically something that you're kind of beating. Now, in this case, we can see they have a pretty good draw.
Yeah.
Larry, what do you think about 3-betting aces here?
I think I prefer, you're in position, which is really important. I prefer a call.
Yeah, I do too. Now, we are super deep, which I think really turns it into a pure call.
Yeah, you've got a good point about reverse implied odds. He's got lots of 10s and 7s. We call and see how this develops.
If we were shorter stacked, I think we could maybe consider getting it in kind of thing. But
Yeah.
being this deep and without the ace of spades, I wish we could run this because I don't think it's ever going to fold, but I wonder if you can maybe consider over folding versus some these deep stacks.
Yeah, you've got, yeah, this is a good hand back though. An interesting card. Go ahead. You're always kicking the hand.
So you're right, Antti. I think a call is really good here as opposed to raising. So let's see what the 8-9 does. They're the ones who did the check raising. They check.
I like this check because the calling range of 18-21 is chock full of spade draws. And also, if they're a thinking player, they understand now that you only have one combo of 7s.
They check
Do you
behind.
think aces should bet here? But do you think aces should bet there? Maybe. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I think without this is a tough one. This is where I know I won't be able to really know the correct play. Because once we get check raised on the flop, and then now a flush completer comes,
Even
boats.
boats are completing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we should do with aces, and I think
I think
blockers.
check would be
Yeah.
it because maybe he might be scared of getting re-raised again because boards complete there or flushes complete there.
Yeah, and stack
And
size
check
really
would be
plays a
better.
big part in this too. Like
Ah, yes, yes.
we're really deep. The stack to pot ratio is really high right now. I think if we have the ace of spades, maybe we go ahead and start
Big
value
bets.
betting, but I'm not sure.
Exactly.
This is a good question for all of us. They do check behind, which
Hmm.
if it were me in this position, this is probably where I would be too. I would probably have called the flop, check raise, checked here. We get to the turn, or we get to the river. We got a 4 flush out there. We have a 4 straight out there. The 8-9 just made a pair, but he certainly can't believe it's going to be good at showdown. So he goes for a bet.
You just put ace into the blender.
Yes. And if I were aces, I wouldn't even think about anything. I would just fold.
What would you do with a spade?
If I had ace of spades?
Yeah. Well, you'd have the
Obviously,
nuts. Never mind.
No, it's not the nuts though.
so boards are there.
Oh, because it's a straight flush up then. Oh, and it's a pair board. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, the ace of
So
spades
if you had
would be
ace
very
of spades,
interesting. Could we ever raise fold the ace if we had the ace of spades?
Yeah.
the best you could do, I
Good
think
question.
calling would be the best. Raising would not be possible there.
Yeah, I would have folded.
Did he hero it?
He heroed it, yeah.
Oh.
Heroed it and won the pot.
Wow.
So well, I think other than his pre-flop call, I think everything was pretty good. Although being this deep, I wonder if you get to call the suited connectors more often now. That we can look at.
Yeah, you might get, this is an interesting hand around. If they'll let you.
I'm just gonna look pre-flop here with all the parameters for 3x open, 200 big blinds deep. So 200 big blinds deep. Let's reset. Big blind open, or I mean, sorry, button open. Small blind. No, still no suited connectors. It does include 10-9 now, which I don't think it did versus at 100, or did it? But it takes away 6-5 suited, which was there as a 3-bet. So we can't really run the sim. They're never gonna. Well, I mean, we can see what aces do versus this action. So I have to do that over here. Button raise, small blind. Yeah, 10-9 suited kind of goes away more. More folding. 100 big blinds deep.
Yeah.
Can I do 200? Do I get one hand at a different stack size? This will be a good one.
Yeah, I can't figure it out sometimes, but I think you get one hand.
So let's give him a call here. Is it 200? Okay, 200. Fold. I can't get it. No.
Bastard.
Darn it. I wanted to see what they do. That's a good hand to look at. All right. Yeah, that was a tough one, Antti. That was a good hand. All right. Let's see. Larry, is this you?
Sure. Ace queen gets to open. Kings are pure 3-bet. No one else should be in the hand.
Well, kings are a poster there, big shooter.
Oh my goodness. Who's not paying attention? So kings, well, I never am here, but I would just RFI to 3. Fine. So ace king is ace queen is in an interesting spot. I would 3-bet here.
I would too.
There's no slow playing here. I would go to between
50.
25 and 30. Someplace in that range.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet, I guess there's no way to look at it, but I wonder if it ever just shoves at this point, like solver land. Sometimes you see that. Because again, we're getting stack to pot ratio where you raise to 30.
You're all of a sudden,
And
you're at 30%
yeah,
threshold.
so maybe it likes a little tiny raise. You know what? We can look at this. Let's see what they do. Let's play out the hand. So they flat kings,
So I
which is
think this is a mistake.
it is.
Hmm.
So there's lots of reasons. The main reason is that, you want to reduce the imposition equity realization advantage here. And the lower the SPR, the less imposition has an equity realization advantage, in theory. So we're gonna see the check raise here, which is great. So I would go bigger. I would go to 24 or 30. This is the click back is really not, it's kind of whatevs. Can we go back and look at his equity? So this is an important lesson for all of us here. Can you go back to when he puts the 3-bet in? Or the check raise, sorry. Look at our equity versus pot odds. He's got the equity to call here. And so it's just important to see this. It's important to understand when you get this click back. In theory, your calling range should be kind of wide. So he's getting this with an over and 2 backdoors. And that's giving him enough equity to call here. And that's just important to see for me, especially that we don't need to overfold to this size. The size is what matters. That's what she said.
Yeah, and that's specifically against pocket kings. I think you may even have more equity versus a range that he's doing this with.
Agreed.
I mean, sure, he could have sets, but he can also have ace jack. What else can you have that you have good equity against? You could
You've
have
got, yeah,
queen jack, king queen.
yeah, I mean, if someone's got some bluffs, then you're definitely should call.
Yeah. So let's take a look at what kings like versus a large size here. Let's go here. I'm going to make it 4x, and I'm curious if we get, I think it was even earlier. Let's make it there. And then we have ace queen, and I think it was somewhere over in here. They're going to be about the same. Ace queen suited. Yeah, they're just going to want a 4-bet. Like you can see the ace queen suited just wants a 4-bet in just about every position here. So they only like it to go to 10. We see the 3-bet size go down when the open size goes up. And I don't mean down, I mean relative to the size of the open. So then we get back to kings. Oh yeah, look, it's just shoving.
Yeah, I can see that.
And if you 4-bet it normal size, it's to 25. And that's the stack to pot ratio, right?
Yeah,
Because you're not going to see that versus a 2.5x. Or even a 3x, are you?
nope.
So versus these sizes. Oh, look, there's even some shoving versus that sizing.
No, that makes sense. Yeah,
How about that? I didn't think I'd see it quite like that.
no, neither did I. I guess we're bouncing out ace king off.
Yeah. All right. This one's me. Let's go. Pocket threes might have slivers, not with that stack size. I don't raise pocket threes that early. Let's see what they do. They're gonna play it. Okay, they min raise it. Probably fine. King 10 suited versus that stack size.
Weird one.
Probably wants to 3-bet bluff or fold. Or do we ever want to call here? They go for the raise. They go for the 3-bet.
So threes should not call here. but they
No,
are.
threes have no business continuing because they do not have the implied odds if they hit a set. It would just a pure mistake. But they do. Nobody ever folds pairs. You know they have them in their range, and we should account for that when we're playing against them. Oh,
Oh,
Wow.
so he's making a big mistake check raising hand.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Check, bet, jams it in there.
Check.
This is horrible.
I mean, you're just out, you're unbeatable at this point, especially with your stack size. Even if you could check 2 street.
Yeah, this is horrible. This is horrible.
Because look at what you lose. Look at what you let them get away with.
Missed the double up.
Antithus, you take this one. What do you think about ace 10 off this early?
I think it's a fold here.
Good. Yep, it is. It's a fold.
Suit off.
Yep.
I think only ace 5 of suit can open here.
Okay.
And
How about-
king
what
jack
about-
offs.
How about king 10 in
King
the
10.
hijack?
King 10. It's at the borderline. I think it can open or it can fold. It's
Yeah.
on the borderline for its range.
Yep, you're right. Some charts I think are going to have them open up pure, and then some charts I think are probably, like you said, cuspy, on the edge of being able
Yeah.
to open. And then ace 5 on the cutoff. You said you like that one raising, right?
Yeah.
That's another one. Ace 5 offsuit in the cutoff is going to be one of those borderline hands, and it's weird because cutoff wants to fold ace 6 and ace 7, and I think that's about it. I think it wants to raise ace 8. Yeah, so look at ace 6 and ace 7 are just folding, and then ace 5 gets in there. So it's a weird little thing it's because of the expected value of ace 5. If we look at EV, or what are we looking at? Equity? We want to look at equity. What shows us the value, Larry?
The value, well, EV.
Pre-flop.
I don't think you can look at EV pre-flop.
Oh, really?
You can in a couple, but you can't in this one. You can't in ETA Wizard, I don't think. It doesn't
Okay.
give you EV free.
All right, gotcha. But yeah, it's higher EV than ace 6 and ace 7 for various reasons. But yeah, you're right. Open king 10. Here's king or ace 5. Here's king 10. It's the very bottom of this opening range. I think some charts may have it being on the edge, like you said. So ace 5, you said, likes to open. We get an open from the king 10. Now what should ace 5 do?
I think it's a fold then.
Yeah.
If king 10 opens, then ace 5 is fold.
Yep. Good. Then we get the king jack off in the big blind.
Is it fold there or can it flat there? Is it a fold?
King jack off is going to either 3-bet or call.
It's- Or, okay.
Yep. It won't fold yet. Not quite to a hijack raise. Big blind, king jack off it likes mostly calling, but there's a little sliver of 3-betting in there. So it's mostly calling. but not folding.
The button.
So we know the check raise is coming from King Jack. King 10 is going to C bet. We know that. They go small. What do you like with King 10 and Peepus? What would you do here?
That's a big bet. If it was a smaller three bet, maybe try for the gut shot. But I think here it's a fold, proper fold hand for King 10.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a fold versus most people that are playing. And I wonder if a pure gut shot is just going to always call here in position. Larry, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you just call.
Do you think it ever folds in theory? Does it mix any folds?
Well, I'm not sure. I think probably yes, because we can just look at pot odds versus equity. And I think if we looked at this in solver, it would have the similar result of saying to this sizing, we're not getting the odds to call. I mean, what
The
I've
problem-
noticed is that welcome to Salt Lake City, dude.
Thanks, man. Your problem though is that it's a gut shot and an over, and the over counts. Although in this case, the over is dirty, but it does count. And that's gonna screw you. I mean, you certainly have your suited varieties that have a backdoor flush. Those I think would call.
Yeah, yeah. I think what's happening here is that if you look at solver, quite often, solver is doing the same thing we're doing. It's looking at pot odds versus equity. And I am somewhat curious, but I think probably it's gonna follow the same agenda here, but excuse me, it looks like it's not because probably out of position has enough bluffs so that it has the equity. Like
So
if
it
you
never-
like
it
if you
never
looked at
folds.
this and you looked at what our pot odds are or being offered, and then you looked at breakdown, probably around where that cutoff is where you're gonna start seeing folds.
Make it 7-10. If you have the 7-10 suited. Do you even have it? You don't. So never mind.
Sorry, I was distracted. Yeah, so we see that the King 10 off never folds.
You want to just do a little experiment? So I'm trying to find. I don't see where it's showing. It should show you where your equity, your pot odds are on the right someplace. But I don't see it. What if, there it is. So your pot odds are 25%. So now go to breakdown. And it's gonna be different, but you can kind of see like your 25% is probably around like this green region on the left. That's probably where around 25%. You look at the equity on the lower right too, like right around here. It's overfolding. I'm wrong. It's overfolding. It's folding a lot more than the 25% equity. I am incorrect. It is overfolding. He wants to play all its gut shots.
Yeah, I know.
I'll fix that. That's me.
I know. I always wonder how tight I need to be with these naked gut shots in an over, versus let's say a slightly bigger size. How much folding?
So we're folding
Sure.
38, and now what are we gonna fold? 55. And this drops out.
Significantly more.
Yeah. I would argue that you can overfold.
Yeah,
lot
and yeah, versus population, like it is a much better fold, right?
Yeah. And we can see why.
All right, I'll take this one. Ace nine open, ace queen, 3-bet. Ace nine should fold, but guess what's gonna, oh, the ace queen just flats. Okay. Ace queen is just flatting here, which is not gonna be a thing. So we get to see a flop. And we know the check raise is coming. Probably not the greatest board to check raise an opener with, because you are just either way ahead or way behind, aren't you? So he does a check raise. It's a small check raise, maybe for value. Maybe it's not too bad.
It's not, but in this case, it's not your way ahead, way behind because your opener is on the button. So you have, your ace queen is way up there in your aces.
Well, that's what I mean. We're way ahead, right?
No, against his other aces, you're just ahead. So it's
We're
not like,
way
it's
ahead.
not like. Yeah, but what I mean is, when you've got, you know, there's lots, you can check raise it because there's lots that he can call you with that's worse. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Whereas if he were EP and you had ace jack, you beat his aces, but the aces that he has beat you. That's not the case here.
So he does check raise, the ace does call. I certainly feel that's reasonable from both players here. He goes for a smaller B33 bet. The seven's probably much better card for a button opener instead of a small blind caller. Probably wouldn't be the case if it was a big blind range.
I was trying to figure out what the equities here are, and I think the equities are close because we're chopping.
Yeah.
We're already chopping.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you just call. This is an important though thing to think about. Like this paired board plus the king means that your kicker don't play, man. So you got to be really smart about calling down in this situation. Then you can get to an argument
So I have
about
one
pot odds
question.
to a chop pot, and that's a different conversation.
There's a question in the last hand.
Yeah.
What if 1806 didn't have a diamond ace? Was it still a call at the end? Or
No, I think that's a good observation. Let's see how it ran out. I mean, I think it makes it a better call because they're not going to have as much value. Am I thinking that correctly?
Yeah, especially a check raise pot. You're blocking a very important card.
Yeah. Whereas if he didn't have the ace of spades, it would
Yeah.
not be as good of a call.
I mean, you're blocking, I mean, his bluffs, a lot of his bluffs are coming from backdoors and you're blocking. So your card is very important. Your ace of diamonds is very important.
Could make an argument that you can be raising here.
Yeah, I mean, this is an
Yeah.
interesting one, right? Because you're turning
Yeah.
top pair into a bluff. Yeah, I mean, I see your point. I mean, the paired board, I think, changes it a little bit, but he really shouldn't have sets because he doesn't have aces and kings. Yeah, it's an interesting spot.
Yeah.
I did. Who's up, dude?
Well, Scotty's back.
Scotty, you want to run with it or you want to, are you in a place where you cannot talk?
Go ahead, Larry.
Here we go. No. Fella, I'm gonna get killed.
Okay, I'll take this. Scotty, don't die. We miss you soon. And some other things too, actually. So the eights are gonna open. Hero, it's a 3-bet here. Let's see if he takes it. Hero gets in. Eights. Can call here. I think it mixes probably. But you can call. I would call here.
Yeah, it
'cause-
definitely mixes and probably actually prefer like frequency wise, it folds more often than it calls.
Yeah, you're probably right. I kind of like forever will have in my head this delineation between I kind of think of like the inflection point with pairs around eights. Because I spent so much time studying tournaments and they're very important. It's an inflection point in tournaments when you're calling on shoves for 30 bigs. But anyway. Okay, so you've got the greatest flop in the world. Look at our equity, dudes. Check. So he makes a small bet. You can wait till turn or you can do it now. A lot of people wait till turn. He might go for it now. He does. You know, he's gonna get a fold. Sad things.
No, thank you. Thank you for raising.
Oh, that was you. Oh, yes. Thank you for playing face up.
Antithus.
Thing button opens, rest of them all fold. 9-8 suited flats it. Good flop for 9-8 suited. So we can see a check raise coming from that side. I'm not sure if, but yeah, kings got a spade of kings. I think they can call. They can call here now. The spade of kings with them. Yeah. It's a second barrel, double barrel. I'm not sure if kings should call or can call here.
Yeah, this is another tough one.
Wow, that's a huge, huge bet. What does 1807 represent? You know, does it represent spades? Like, or ace? Just ace X would be too big a bet there. Can't represent flush. I'm being in position of 8-1-8-1-3. I think this bet is kind of weird. It does not tell the true story of what this player was playing.
Yeah, I think you just fold if you're kings. You're just not. There's no heroing here
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
profitable.
It reaches flush.
Yeah, you want to fold there. I think the
Yeah.
toughest question is the flop. Like we get,
Hmm.
do we see bet? I mean, we're definitely going to get continuation bets. And holding the king of spades is a good card to have here. But it's going to want to check in, you know, with some frequency and, you know, maybe getting check raised. I think if we didn't have the king of spades, we should maybe just fold. What do you guys think?
I would continue with the spade and fold without.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I want to see the frequencies of c betting here. I know there's going to be a lot of checking behind. That was 5 of clubs. Hate that. I hope you guys are all right with me checking this out because I always am curious about these spots. Pretty healthy donk bet opportunity for the big blind here. We see that a lot on the ace low boards.
Yeah.
if they had any more frequency of betting with kings here, but you pure checking all the pairs down through nines, and then it starts to get more frequent with these lower pairs putting pressure on probably like, nines, tens, whatever, flatted, that sort of thing. Anyway, but yeah, so they went and C bet and they went B50, right? Not B33. And they got raised. And now kings. Well, we're not gonna be able to see what we do with it because it should have checked.
It's an important lesson. What about tens? Oh,
Tens with a spade because we checked all the other tens without a spade.
yeah. No, I think checking here is the important lesson.
Yeah, and that I think that would apply if kings were in here, you'd see the same thing. Just check behind with these pairs, unless you have a spade, then it becomes okay to see that, right?
Mm.
So yeah, that was another tough one. Larry?
Okay. I don't understand why this is a hand. It should, everybody should fold.
I bet it comes from here.
Jack eight. Yeah, Jack eight.
Ace seven, I think, does get to defend here.
Grab the other suitcase.
Ace seven off gets a lot of three bets too. Probably not to the 2x, but to a 2.5x. Ace seven is one of these hands that gets on the chart, gets to three bets.
Yeah. Yeah, just to defend. So there's no real reason to do what he's doing here. So he's gonna check. This guy's gonna see that.
There's one.
So this C bet is dumb because with the paired board at the bottom, you're just likely to get a chop. Again, I don't know if it's likely. There is some chance that you're gonna chop against better aces. This really isn't necessary. So, can you guys hear me, by the way? Because my computer is acting weird. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you,
Okay, hey Scotty.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can,
but I'm not actually here, but I still can hear you.
Well, you're always there in spirit. That's what's important. I don't think that you need to make this check raise because I think that you're gonna end up chopping with better aces a lot more. So
And
you need a lot, you don't need a protection. It's just dumb. That's a dumb check raise.
hey, Larry, do you hear me?
I do hear you, yes.
Did you just repeat yourself about the dumb check raise?
I didn't say it. Did I say it twice? I might have said it twice. I don't know.
Yeah, I just heard you say it again. It sounded like it was like on record.
Oh, yeah, I knew something was going on with my computer, but I think it's back to normal now.
What do you see? Do you see 10-9 under the gun?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay. So anyway, ace 10 open and pocket fives defend is what should happen. Let's see. We get the min and we get the defend. So far, so good from both players. And we're going to see a check raise from a set of fives, which would also be a pretty donkable board as well. So the ace 10 is going to C bet, which on this kind of board, ace 10 just can check as well. We're talking about population exploits of C betting more often than you really need to, which he's going to do. He does, he gets check raised. Now we have no backdoor flush. We only have the backdoor straight, and we have our ace 10 hand, which could potentially be still good versus some of these check raises. I think versus population, we can overfold. I would imagine we're calling some in theory at some frequency. We don't have we don't have diamonds. Probably okay to just overfold this to population. they do fold. What do you guys think?
I think, his fold is fine.
Yeah. You think it calls though at some frequency?
Um,
Maybe even three bets? Do you think it ever wants to three bet bluff? Probably not that hand if you had the ace of
no,
diamond.
well, let's just look at thought. Yeah, it's not getting the odds. I think I would slow play this sometimes because it misses his range. Now, again, I may be influenced by the cards, but and I think it's fine. He's got overpairs. But we might have slow plays here. Maybe not with the two-tone board, but I think we might have slow plays because we're blocking top pair, we're blocking his ace five. And because it just misses so much of what his range is, and you've got so much equity.
And we see that is a very donkable board. And
Yeah,
there
super
of course,
dockable.
fits great into that because they're going to check back a ton, which this ace 10 is going to check back a ton once you get here, right? So this ace 10 without a diamond just wants to check, like look at all, everything just wants to check back. That's why it likes to donk on these boards.
Yeah.
But then we talked about the population exploit of go ahead and c-bet more often than, you know, solver's going to tell you to. So they do that, which I'm sure is fine. And we can see that even in the solver that it mixes in c-betting. So they do.
It's also important to see what what he is c-betting here is when he's got the backdoor equity nut draw
Yeah.
along with his gutter.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
important.
Uh,
Okay,
so
now the big question. No, it doesn't like my slow play, I don't think. Oh, no, we're not on. Yeah, it mixes. It mixes a slow play.
yeah.
I'm
Uh,
strategic tension, right? Your SPR is what? Huge, monstrous, like more than 10. And so you do have a desire to get it in versus his overpairs. But at the same time, you missed a lot. So you've got strategic attention. Like what's five's equity here? It's like 96%. Well, in reality, it's 88%. That's good enough
um,
together.
yeah, I wanted to see their check raise size, but yeah, fives,
Okay.
their, what did you want to see? Their what? Their equity?
Yeah, their equity. It's probably like 96%. Maybe with the gutter, not so much, but yeah, 86. It matches reality, which is interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I
So,
would still play this at some frequency.
so with the diamond, okay, my suspicion was right. It actually likes to three bet sometimes when you have the diamond. But without the diamond, you just fold.
Question for you, would you re-raise in reality with the diamond, but the ace of diamonds?
I don't find it.
I don't think it makes, I don't think that there's enough bluffs here. I don't think there's enough check raise bluffs for you to rebluff. I just don't think it's there. I think you call or you fold.
Yeah. Uh, was that me?
I don't know.
And Tethys, you got one?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward one. Ace queen opens and king jack defense.
I am looking at a king six suited, which is not, I'm wondering, it's one of my hands that is on the charts. Let's see if we get past it. Oh, okay, I took it.
Wow.
Get in.
I took it. It's one of the hands that's kind of like the ace five.
I like it.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think it's, if my memory though, is I think it's not there. Is it cutoff versus hijack? I thought it went away. I thought the king six went away in cutoff versus hijack. That it was against the earlier.
Yeah, it's probably. I hate.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's
but-
there, but I like it.
Yeah,
I think
That's it.
my nickname for Joey is the priest. I think the priest would like it too. Yeah, it's in there. Get in, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you were wondering if it was hijack cutoff?
that was hijack cutoff, wasn't it?
I think we were low jack cutoff.
No, because there's there's nobody in between the two of you.
No, you're right. It is hijack cutoff.
Right. Hijack cutoff, the king six isn't there.
No.
It-
What do you
it-
mean
it-
it's not there?
It's not a lot of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, it is prominent. It's prominent against the earlier ones, like cut off low jack and low jack. If you're nine-handed, low jack, minus low jack -1. I think the king six is more prominent.
Yeah.
Is my memory. But anyway, you did it. You found it. It's not going to work this time yet. Yet. only
So
at the end.
Antithus, you're sitting here with ace queen suited and you get 3-bet by the cutoff. What are you doing here with ace queen suited?
And I'll just call in the
Yeah, I think call is fine. I think it might mix in some 3-bets as well. Ace queen. What if you had ace queen off, Antithus?
Ace queen off could be a fold, but I'll just call. I mean, no raising.
Yeah, ace queen off would always either fold or 4-bet, but ace queen suited
Okay.
you do get to call some here. So we go to the flop.
King says
So we know what's going to happen. Hero's going to c-bet,
so bad.
and then we're going to get check raised. And hero is like, shit.
Why
Do we
does ace queen check raise, like based on what? Just because it has got more no.
Yeah, we'll just play this one out. This one's kind of unusual. I know that I'm not folding top pair. I think my question for me is, do I ever just want to check back here? And I think the answer is yes, I do want to check back sometimes, but I don't think c-betting is all that bad either. However, I do definitely think that checking back here is definitely good. But I do c-bet and I get check raised, and then I call top pair, as I don't think I should fold yet.
Yeah.
And now the ace queen mercifully checks, because now I think the check is easy. I think. What do you guys think? Would anybody ever now reopen the betting? My opinion is
Check.
no. I do not want to reopen the betting. Any opposing opinion?
He can
Agreed.
he,
Agreed. You do not want to be open.
I think you
can
reopen
have-
at king jack,
hmm,
king jack, king queen, and ace king reopen,
yeah.
and then king 10 it doesn't.
I'm with you there. I'm buying what you're selling.
Yeah.
We get another check on the river.
Thin, way too thin.
Way too thin, I agree. Because I just checked, but King Jack.
Yeah.
I think Scotty's right. I think that's a good value threshold.
And then if you don't bet those on, if you bet the king 10, you bet the king 10 on the turn, you of course bet it now as 2-pair. You bet the king jack on the turn, maybe you check it back and you only bet the king queen and the ace king again,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't even know that I want to bet that. I don't know that how much I want to bet the king queen even.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would be. I wouldn't know if that would be too thin or not.
Yeah. You get
All right. We'll do, this will be our last round. Scotty, you lead us off.
All right.
Last
Here
call,
we go.
Scotty. What do you want? Martini?
I am here. I am good. Okay.
We're 11 minutes.
You got it. 5-4 can choose to open. We'll see whether he does, because that'll change everything. If it were me, I wouldn't, because I'd have to go to 4.5 and I don't need to go to 4.5 with a 5-4. Queen 5 should fold. We'll see if he decides to do some weird limpy thing. Great. All right. Jack 8. Does whatever he feels like. He checks. All right. Tens should absolutely raise him. And they should raise to 5.5 or 6, but he raises too small. I am highly critical of that. And now to this tiny bet. Jack 8 should probably even fold to that smaller bet, but it's not terrible. Okay. Well. So
I'm with you. I
the
think
tens,
they should fold.
I think they should. So the tens can bet this, or they can go for a check raise, or they can go for a check call. They go check. He bets his 8. He bets small. Check raise is just fine. And with this, 1 over, a diamond, and the gut shot, he should call. We can't put this in solver because the ranges don't exist. But if you wanted to put it in solver, you could give villain, you could give the first villain Jack 8 of spades to continue, but he'd fold the Jack 8 of spades to the 3-bet. So the tens would have to just call, and by then you're not in the world of anything.
Yeah.
But I do think the Jack 8 needed to call that 3-bet with the Jack of diamonds and the 8. What do you guys think?
I'm kind of in the, so let's see here. So we get this.
I mean, give 10 aces. And it's not terrible for Jack 8. It's only, what's terrible for Jack 8 is that he has 10s. That's what's terrible for Jack 8. But that's the only hand but that's the hand that is so terrible.
Yeah, I'm in the fold the Jack 8 of spades. Is that what we were thinking he might have or something?
Yeah, but I mean, he can't, but he folds the Jack 8 of spades to the 3-bet pre-flop. So
Yeah.
there's no solve for this.
Larry,
Sure.
is your last one.
Okay. I'll take a vodka cognac. So fold around to A7 suited. Threes are gonna call. I don't mind it. I think it's a little degen, but I think it's okay if you're not gonna get 3-bet sufficiently behind. Hero should fold. Okay, A7, this is the highest check position in poker. A7 should check. Threes want to realize equity and should check back, but if you have a check raise, it's not gonna happen. A7 is gonna take a pretty savage check raise here. And this is a dumb size because it doesn't really achieve a lot.
Yeah.
So this is just not, this is just stupid. If you're gonna, this is someone who doesn't have a hand that has, this is mergy. They're like, I know I should check raise, but I'm just gonna try this size, but it's just not, it's stupid. So, okay, 3-3s, this is interesting. Against this size with a backdoor, you can call. Queen, now A7 is in a weird spot. It decides to go for it, and it's gonna get the fold. Interesting play.
Yeah. I am on the flop. I am hearing a lot of talk from coaches.
So I'm going to argue in favor of the A7's check raise size here.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's the best choice, but if his thinking is, I'm going to bet small here to get called wide and then put the hammer down on the turn in the river, then he wants to get called here.
You have a good point, Scotty. So this is a hungry horse.
Yeah.
Adjustment.
it-
Hungry horse
it's-
says the best bluff is the one they call on flop, call on turn, and fold on. So
Yeah.
you have a very good point.
Um,
And this, you know, maybe he's doing this depending on if he feels the turn is good for his range or bad for his range. And this, you know, you could argue this one's good, so he's gonna go for it.
Right.
I like
This
your
board-
argument. I think it's good.
Yeah. That board there, though, is not terrible for the button's calling range. It hits two of his sets cleanly, and the third one sometimes, so
Yeah, it's true.
it's just terrible for his overcards.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a really good player. I mean, he's a 17-7. He might be a really good player. He's got a population exploit. And maybe part of the exploit is that when he knows, he makes this undersized check raise, that villain is gonna raise his bad shit, or raise his good shit. And because he didn't raise, he knows that he has a more marginal hand, which he can now attack.
All right, we'll make this the last one of the day. All right, so King 10 should fold. It's out of range that early. Jack 10 should open. It's in range that early. They limp. Okay, what do we get? I think both of these hands should fold. Ace 4 on the button. Should probably just fold. They ISO. That's better than calling, than limping behind.
Agreed.
If Jack 10 has done a lot of limping, the Ace 4, I think, is a good ISO here. And if the Jack 10 has not, you know, it's certainly if the Jack 10's been splitting his range with raises and calls and has a high VPIP, it's okay. If Jack 10 has been kind of normal, Ace 4 is too wide. That's
Yep.
what I think.
Another quick point here. Also, his ISO is gonna force you out. Look at the equities around the table. You're tied for you're tied for the second best hand right now, and he's gonna push you out with this ISO. So this is why you ISO.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Jack 10 now that they've limped and with this hand and gotten ISO'd. It probably should just call here. I'm trying to think if we raise, get 3-bet with Jack 10, I think it's often just folding.
It is a lot.
So I wonder now the stacked pot ratio is much greater, although he does have a broken stack. So, but he's going to call.
With that broken stack, I think that argues against the Jack 10 going to the limp re-raise.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Against 200 big blinds deep, probably fine.
Yeah. All right. So
Interesting.
nice little flop for the Jack 10 limper. We know what's going to happen. So the Ace 4, he ISOs. He gets this flop from a limper. If it were me, I could be on the button with that Ace 4 in some situations here. I'd probably just start to check behind here with this hand, but I guess we could still see bet as well. They do see bet. They go B50. They're gonna get check raised. and
I
that's
don't know if I should, but I bet that every time, and I don't know that I should.
the Ace 4.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
the best hand right now, and it's not going to be the best hand on the turn.
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
would check. I would bet it too, especially, you know, representing a very strong range with your ISO.
Yeah.
It's merging, but I would bet it.
Now that we get this action, I'm not happy. It's a little bit bigger than 3x. Our stacked pot ratio is really crappy. Just, I don't know, probably just fold.
Yeah, I think he just exit. He doesn't get it.
He comes along. Now we're talking a less than a pot size bet here.
So
Jack
villain
10.
should shove. 1860
Yeah.
should shove.
Yep, he should just get it in, and he checks behind. The 4 checks behind. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
he goes for like a little bit of half of it, and then it's good in the fold. Okay. Well, that was cool. That was fun to see all the crappy crap that's going on out there.
I thought this was a really productive, session.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think we took away a lot of, I mean, so I'm gonna be looking at the turning your under pairs into a check raise against people that over C bet. And a couple other pieces, you know, I wouldn't mind continuing this next week if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm good with that. This was very interesting.
And Scotty is also not here next week, so that would be cool.
Okay. And now that Scotty has talked me through how to filter that,
Yeah, you guys threw down. I was kind of like, I was watching you guys nerd out. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Thank you, guys.